Today we are reading Yo no trabajo aquí, señora. Crazy but polite OAP. This is crazy. 2 moms I thought I worked at a bookstore and we all laugh in the end. And I don't live here guy story. Let's try to reach 300 likes for this video and make sure you subscribe to enjoy the craziest and the funniest retail stories. For more I Don't Work Here Lady videos, check out the playlist in the description, and congratulations Rick for the comment of the day. And now is the time to fight Karen. Let's do this. Yo no trabajo aquí, señora. My dad is Mexican and he has told me stories of people who mistook him of either being an illegal immigrant, he was born here, or working at places you normally see Mexicans work at, or you think Mexicans work at least. Home Depot is where this happened at. Dad told me that every time he goes into that store, at least one person comes up and asks him where something is at. He had to convince them that he is not an employee and has to wait until another clerk or even the manager had to say he was not a worker there. Neither my mother or I believed him, but I was there when it happened. The other day, my dad wanted to get some sod and grass seeds for his yard, so I went with him. I was shocked to find that he had been telling the truth about being mistaken for an employee. The first person accepted that. The other person... This woman will not leave my dad alone. She kept insisting that he worked there because you're a Mexican, only Mexicans work here. I love the fact that she said that as 2 white employees were walking past. They tried to stop and help her, but she complained about my father not helping her. She wanted my dad written up, not fired, for not helping her and not doing his job. Again, everyone listening tried to insist that he did not work there. She eventually walked off, huffing about how awful the service was, as well as the standard "go back to Mexico" remarks. Crazy but polite OAP. This just happened today, so it's a very nice sunny day today, the sort I normally hate. Today, however, I decide to go out and enjoy it. I find a nice cafe, order a drink and a late lunch, and sit outside with a book. It's not crowded, but there are a couple of other people around. A few minutes later, a server brings out my lunch and puts it on my table. I finish the chapter, then go to start on my lunch to find it's missing. Plate is gone, drink is gone. I look around and there's a couple of other people eating. I go inside and talk to the staff. They have no idea what's going on. They look around and find this lady, who looked at least 80, tucking into a plate of fish and chips that had not been delivered to her. Excuse me ma'am, where did you get that meal? It's my lunch, but you got my order wrong. Sorry ma'am, but your order is not ready yet. Well, why did you bring it out then? The waiter had it, and points at me. And the server is really confused. What? He was on a break, but I didn't want to disturb him and just took it. Didn't want to get it cold. Ma'am, that is not a waiter. That's a customer and you just stole his lunch. The lady took a while to convince, but afterwards she was incredibly apologetic. Lady and her husband's lunch came a few minutes later, and she had not even ordered fish and chips, and my own meal was replaced. I have no idea why she thought I was staff though. The only thing even vaguely waitery about me was I was wearing a shirt. This is crazy! For entertainment purposes only. So I have severe cystic fibrosis, a genetic disease, to describe it briefly, anxiety, and I'm just pretty timid in general, and I got to the point where I needed a wheelchair because I cannot walk for more than 5 minutes before getting pretty out of breath and I need to sit down. I also have anxiety and I'm just pretty timid in general. This story happened about 6 months ago when I was 17 at the time. I just turned 18. My mom was going to the grocery store to get some food and I went along because I wanted to pick up some groceries too, and I don't go out a lot. When we got in, we said that when we were done getting our groceries, we'd meet up at lane 8, so we went our separate ways and I headed for the cat food. I see a girl younger than me, maybe 12 or 13, reaching for something on a shelf that she could not reach, so I say, "Excuse me?" and she replies with a, "Yeah?" And so I ask if she needs some assistance with getting the cat treats. She says yes, and I get them down and hand them to her. She goes to her guardian, what I assume would be our parent, after thanking me. Then I realize a lady with the "can I speak to your manager" haircut had been behind me that whole time, waiting. I turn to her and she looks pretty mad. She starts to literally scream in my face. "Took you long enough. Workers should not have wheelchairs. It makes them go so slow. You probably don't even need it. Just help me find the books now." This, of course, made me jump, and then my eyes started tearing up. I was so confused. Why would she go straight to my wheelchair? And my clothes did not even look anything like the worker's uniform. I was wearing a gray tank top and basketball shorts. The uniform at the store is a blue vest, khakis or jeans, and any t-shirt. I reply quietly with, "I don't work here, ma'am." She replies with, "Excuse me? I just saw you helping that little girl." And she gestures in her direction. I reply with, "Ma'am, this is a little girl who could not reach the cat treats." I simply handed them to her. She gets furious. She grabs my wrist and pulls me off my wheelchair, then drags me around the store looking for the manager. I kept crying and screaming, "Help! She's abusing me!" I was breathing very hard at this point and I just wanted to sit down. After 5 or so minutes of walking aimlessly around the store, she finds the manager and thank God he's by a bench. She starts to run to him and when she gets to the manager, she lets go of me and I sit down, breathing very hard now. And I had not bring anything to help me breathe to the store because me and my mother planned to only be there for about 20 minutes and I had my wheelchair, so I thought all will be fine. She yells at the manager, "You need to fire this young woman. He helped a young girl and now won't help me. He should be fired and I just might press charges." That was the craziest thing I'd ever heard that day because I had not done anything wrong and she had assaulted me. I started to cry again. I dialed 911 and I was very scared because this might not be considered an emergency, but I tell them that she grabbed my wrist and everything else. That call just got me more anxious. I called my mother after I called the police. As the manager looked at me, he says, "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." So at this point, she was so red. She opens her mouth to start yelling again, but then some police walk in. They start to walk in her direction and I started to sweat. I could tell Mr. Red-Faced Karen was too. My mom got to where I was in the store by now, with my wheelchair. They come over and ask me, "Are you this person?" And I say yes, and they ask me some more questions. The Karen was just on her phone. A cop started talking to her too. She lied about almost every single question. The cops, of course, check the security cameras and she gets 13 months in prison with a fine. I ended up leaving without any groceries, but my mom got a lot of groceries. I was satisfied with the ending and I still am. Also, she never got her books. 2 months I thought I worked at bookstore and we all laughed in the end. So this is gonna be pretty short since it was only a brief moment in passing and it happened twice to me at the same place. At the time for this part of my story, I was working at my local Safeway and it was not all that great. The uniform I wore was black pants and a black colored shirt with 3 buttons on the front, very important. So my shift ended at around 3 p.m. and it was also around the time that schools were getting out. So by the time I got to the Barnes and Noble, it was packed with kids and parents looking for books to entertain them. I was walking to the kids section because my favorite book series, Warriors, was back there. As I was walking over there, passing kids and parents as well as the employees who were wearing cargo pants and a green apron, I noticed the kids section was not as packed as it normally is once school lets out for the day, and I only had a woman and her small son playing with the toys and a puzzle. They stood up and were walking my way to go to the bathroom because the kid had spilled some snacks or maybe juice into his shirt. The mom was going to clean him up. They stopped in front of me as I got to the front of the kids section. "I'm sorry about the mess we left here. I'm taking my son to the bathroom to get him washed, then we'll clean up the toys." "Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry he got his shirt dirty." And you don't need to worry about telling me, I don't work here, ma'am. As soon as I said that, the woman looked embarrassed and laughed about her mistake. I laughed too and even gave the kid one of my chocolate snacks I had in my bag. The kid was happy about the treat and the mom went to clean the child up and I got my book. A few months later, when the next book came out, I went back to the same Barnes & Noble to pick up a copy in the same section as before. There was a woman who was looking for an advanced reading book for her son and came over to me. Excuse me, do you have any books for a 3rd grader that is a little scary? My son likes to read horror stories, but I don't want anything that will give him nightmares. I think maybe a not so scary Stephen King story will be good, like maybe The Body? If you don't know, The Body was made into a movie but was changed to Stand By Me for some reason. Can you show me where it is? So I take her to the section where the books are, but we can't find the book we're looking for. So I wave over an employee and ask for the book that we are looking for. He finds it for us and the woman starts apologizing to me because she thought I was an employee. I said it was okay and handed them the book they wanted. The woman thanked me for my help as well as the man who helped us, and we all enjoyed a good laugh and read of the books we got. I don't live here, guy story. This is more of I don't work here, guy story. Spring break 1978, before many readers were born, our school theater group went to New York City to watch plays and sightsee. Arrived Sunday and left the following Saturday, they were still taking out people from St. Patty's Day when we checked in. Nights we saw Broadway and off-Broadway's plays, saw Yul Brynner in The King and I on Broadway during the days we were tourists. First thing I did Monday morning was to go see a friend that had moved to New York City at a bookstore where she worked. I bought a booklet called Flash Maps of New York City. I understand they still make them for there and many other places. About the middle of the week, I was waiting for a subway between rush hours. A man came up and asked about subway stops and routes. I got out the flash map and showed him the routes. I did tell him where I got it and to ask for my friend. He said that him and his family has been there for only 2 weeks and did not know his way around. I didn't have the heart to tell him I had only been there for half a week. Guys, before you leave, please check our awesome I Don't Work Here Lady playlist. I am sure you will love it. Remember to help us reach 300 likes for this video, subscribe to the channel for more awesome readed stories, and hit the bell button to know exactly when we post a new video and join the notification gang. Thank you again for watching this 36th episode of I Don't Work Here Lady. See ya!